Next order of business shall be the roll call.
David Pruitt.
Here.
Bart Shockley.
Here.
Tim Turney.
Here.
Ken Winkfield.
Here.
Candy Pryor.
Here.
David Pruitt.
Continue.
Bart Shockley.
Here.
Tim Turney.
Order
Ken
of business
Winkfield.
is the
Here.
Candy
approval
Pryor.
of the minutes from the October 6th meeting. They've been distributed. We entertain a motion to approve, approve, deny, and
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve as they're written.
motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made, has a second. Any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Minutes are approved. Public hearing items. Number 1, application number 11015-2025. Curtis and April Rommel have filed a conditional use permit application, tract of land 26.72 acres. Steve, would you like to take us through this,
Sure.
please?
Here's a arrow up on the screen. We had an application filed on October 13th, and you heard the location 700 Oregon Road. You can see the 700 up there in the north part of that arrow is slightly a blue dot underneath that. It shows you the property. You can kind of see the shape of the property. It's 26.752 acres. We'll skip past this, then come back. There's the zoning map that sits for this area of the county. The property is split zoned. A portion of it's agricultural A1, and a portion of it's conservation or CO-1. The house that we're going to be talking about here for the short-term rental is actually in the agricultural portion. It sits up here close to the road. But it's interesting to note both zones allow conditional use permits for short-term rentals, but the actual STR that's being requested tonight actually sits in the ag portion of this property. And again, here's some photos that are in your staff, one picture in your staff report, a few extras. This is the property sitting along the road. This is a shot just past that shows the parking area. And this is just around the curve, kind of again looking back at the property and a little more detail there further. And again, and there's the zoning map in relationship to show you kind of how the property lies. Page 2 of your staff report gets into the zoning references that authorizes this type of conditional use permit request. The 701 is our agriculture or A1. Conditional use permits are the types that we allow. Several different types of conditional use permits are on page 2 and 3. And at the top of page 3, you can see the term short-term rental establishments, whether they be hosted or dedicated, are eligible with conditional use permits if the Board of Adjustments approves that. The term short-term rental is under our overnight accommodation specific use chapter or section in chapter 5. You see that at the bottom of page 3, 507. And 507 4B starts to get into specific standards, and they go on to page 4 and 5 of your staff report on how we do short-term rentals and the general rules kind of are in play as people move forward with these. The highlighted section on page 4 is for the unincorporated area of Woodford County, the type of STRs we allow, where they're allowed, where they're prohibited, and then sort of room caps depending on whether they're hosted or dedicated. And our definition of short-term rentals on page 5. Moving on to page 6 of the staff report, Article 4, Section 407.5. I'll read this whole sentence. We're going to have several CUPs tonight, and it's in every staff report, but I'll just read it for this first case. That section says, when considering a conditional use permit, the Board of Adjustments may attach certain conditions to its approval, which it feels are necessary requirements in order to preserve and protect the character of the district in which the proposed use would be located. Again, that's the authority you all have that's in our zoning ordinance. And with that, the applicant did put some conditions forward, just 2 of them, and they're right there in the bottom part of page 6. They put 2 conditions: that there would be a maximum of 4 guests, and there's 6 parking spaces on the site. The staff item concern are just cookie cutter that we put in there every staff report when it's an STR, that if this was approved, the applicants have to get business licenses as well as register with the Woodford County Tourism Commission. Our review findings, our review criteria is on page 7. I won't go through all those details, but those items A through I are the type of things that you all typically can review or do review with a CUP. And then our findings that are required are outlined on page 8 of the staff report, Article 4, Section 407.5. These are the findings required that you all have to make on any kind of CUP request. Again, on page 9 is a cookie cutter motion, up or down, depending which way the Board of Adjustments wants to go, and our attorney will be glad to help you wordsmith any additional conditions or motions if it gets to that point. Again, I've got these exhibits on the slide here, just pictures of the house and the maps. If you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at this time.
Board members, are there any questions for Steve? Thank you, Steve. It was very thorough. Would the applicant care to speak to this? Is the applicant here? There you go.
We can.
Just step to the mic and state your name.
Hi, I'm April Bramall.
Wait a minute. Turn it on.
Button there. There you go.
Got it.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm pretty loud anyway. So, hi, I'm April Bramall. We purchased the property 2 years ago, and if any of the Oregon residents are here, they will remember it did not look like that. It was in quite disrepair at the time. We considered just tearing it all down. We really didn't know what we were walking into until we walked into the home, and just decided to give it a whole lot of love and use it as our personal place. And we have spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and I mean tears, renovating it ourselves, and have enjoyed it. We love it. We love Oregon Road. We really love this property. It's very precious and prideful to us, and we just want to use it during some high peak seasons that will keep some people in there, keep running water through the pipes and keeping the heat and the air on, because we're not always there. But we still want to use it ourselves. We've got family that comes in from out of town, and we like to use it personally. We love the property. The home is the only piece of the property that we're willing to rent short term. We want to keep the rest of that property to ourselves, and we just hope that you all see that we've got a good use for it, and we want to maintain the character of Oregon Road as much as the neighbors do.
Don't go anywhere. Board members, any questions?
Quick question. So you mentioned, is your primary residence sometimes correct?
Our primary residence is Lexington,
Okay.
but my husband is out there a lot, so therefore I go out there a lot. So
I guess my
almost every week we're out there.
My question is, how many nights a year do you anticipate renting it out?
Keeneland is,
30-ish probably.
yeah, I mean, Keeneland, maybe Breeders' Cup. If it interferes with hunting, then not at all.
Okay, well, that was the same question I was going to ask.
Yeah, I've got my marching orders on that.
Any other questions?
Ms. Bramall, one of the findings the board has to make is a statement about what justifies issuing this permit, and permits are for uses that would promote the public health, safety, or welfare. Can you talk about the beneficial aspects of permitting this use?
So we met many of the neighbors before we purchased the property, and naturally there were concerns because the house was quite run down, and like I said, it was a potential demolish. I think having it rented out, unfortunately my husband travels a lot for work, and that has amped up greatly in the last couple years, and we've now looked at our schedule for next year. There will be many amounts of time that we won't be able to get out there. And I worry about plumbing. I worry about the heat and the air not running, sufficiently so that the home doesn't fall apart. And, we care very much about this property. It's a 45-minute drive for us to get over there, but we make it because it's important to us. And it's our retreat. And so I don't want that to fall apart. It's very helpful to have at least somebody there on occasion to run those pipes and run the heat and the air.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone from the audience care to speak to this? Seeing none, we will close this hearing and seek a motion to approve or deny this conditional use permit. Let's see here.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit for a short-term rental establishment in an existing structure located at 700 Oregon Road, along with the applicants and board's agreed-upon property conditions. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that it does meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. We also added in there was no more than 4 people a night, and there are 6 parking spots, correct? And no more than 6 then?
Ms. Pryor, might you also add that this application is justified by the fact that it's seen the restoration of a neglected property and that the rental supports the ownership of an active, interested owner?
Yes, I like that.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made. Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next order of business. Application number 11-017-2025. Stonehaven Steadings LLC is filed for conditional use permit on a tract of land being 39.9 acres. Steve, would you care to update everyone?
Yeah, so just generally looking at the agenda real quick, you'll notice this item number 2 and item number 3. They are 2 separate applications, but they're connected and on the same property. And so as I go through the staff report, I'm just going to point that out. If we get to number 3 here, which I assume we will, it'd be very similar in nature. What the applicant is doing here is, you can see this is the area up on the screen. There's 2 different residences on this property on the corner of Paynes Depot Road and Old Frankfort Pike, and they're seeking a short-term rental CUP in both of the structures. They could have potentially filed one application for both houses, but they filed separate applications for each individual house. This first application is for the 1564, which sits right in the middle of the property that you see. Again, the blue dot's a little bit superimposed underneath that. The 1554 will be the next application for the STR in that structure. But I just wanted to let you see the aerial. They share this driveway. There's 2 different structures on the property, and their intention is to get short-term rental establishments in each of these 2 different homes that are on the property. So again, on page 1 of the staff report, the application was filed on October 13th, our filing deadline. The property size is 39.960 acres, and it is zoned agriculture. And again, they're asking for an STR in the ag zone. This is a shot from Paynes Depot Road. If you kind of look towards the farm, again, the houses are pretty far back on the property, so they're a little tough to see there. When I went out there and took some pictures. Again, this is the zoning map that shows the property at the corner of Paynes Depot and Old Frankfort Pike, and it shows that it's zoned A1. And interesting enough, as we move to the east, we have actually some single-family residentially zoned property, but this property has historically been agriculture from the time zoning was established in the county. Again, page 2 of your staff report goes through the agricultural zone. We just looked at that on the prior case. Lays out the principal uses, accessory uses, as well as the conditional uses. And again, on the top of page 3, short-term rental establishments, or we call STRs, where they be hosted, where the person resides in the home and rents the space, or dedicated, where they kind of turnkey rent the house, are both authorized as CUPs if you all approve them. Page 4 outlines again in the unincorporated part of the county where the short-term rentals are permitted or prohibited or conditional in nature, and then the maximum room counts or guest counts based on the type of units that they do. This is a map that the applicant submitted, and this one's for the 1564. You can see that at the top, and it says 1564. It shows Fire Gate 7. Again, both these residences come off the same driveway off Paynes Depot, and then the house we're talking about is the more southern house there. Again, it's 1564. So this is the exhibit that they submitted with their application. Page 6 of your staff report, or just what we talked about the prior case, conditions of approval that are required with conditional use permits. And again, section 4 07.5 gives you all the authority to establish conditions. There were only 2 conditions with this application, and they're same for both applications. Number 1 just says no parties or loud noise, and 2 just says farmhouse for VRBO. So there's really no, traditionally I know you all have seen caps on maybe guest numbers or parking or whether they're going to have a fire pit or something, you know. In this case, these were more generic conditions and probably we've seen, and they're the same conditions that were proposed for both applications. So again, this is where you all have the authority or can suggest wordsmithing some of these or ask the applicant if they would consider other type of conditions if you all feel they're important. Page 7, the staff report, just what we talked about before. There's the findings. And there's the review criteria as well as the finding criteria outlined on page 7. And then the motion, as I mentioned before, those are cookie cutter for a reason. And then our attorney can get in there and help board members put verbiage together, especially if we impose different conditions to make sure they're worded in the motions. This was the only other exhibit that was submitted, and it kind of just shows a plat of the property, which is interesting because, again, it shows the driveway, the joint access easement that they both share, and again, the 2 different, the properties there. And this is the next case, but again, when we get to that point, I won't go through the same information. They basically submitted the same documents other than the house map on case number 2. So this exhibit was submitted for both applications. It just shows the property boundaries along both roadways. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have for this application.
Thank you. Board members, any questions for Steve? Okay. Would the applicant care to speak to this?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Be careful what you say now.
Well, I was not prepared to speak tonight, but
State your name, please.
my name is Leah O'Mara. My husband and I run Stonehaven Steadings. It's a family farm. My parents and we're all partners on the farm. And there's these couple of houses in question. They're just not being used. We don't have, enough residences like needed on the farm. So just kind of wanting to put them to work with the rise in horse country and getting behind the gates and encouraging tourism. It just seemed like a really good fit. It's a beautiful setting. Definitely no parties. My mom is very against that. I'm so sorry that you don't have more photos. I would have totally been
it's
welcomed
fine.
you in there, but just to give you guys a little more details, the one property in the middle, the one house in the middle of the property, it's 4 private suites in the home with a pool. It would be very much an executive rental. It's
That's
kind
the
of
Russell House?
the Russell House, yeah. Big white house on the hill there. It'd be more of an executive rental, something that would probably not be rented out a ton because of the price point, but we want to have it available to, clients during the sales and the races, and even maybe, like I said, corporate rentals for people needing to place CEOs and things like that for a time. And then the other property, the 1564, it's only 2 bedrooms, so it'll be maxed out at 4 guests. There's parking there, and whatever stipulations you may want to include, I'm sure we'd be open to that. Any questions? I don't know if I covered everything.
A couple. And this is, the application is fine. But I think within what I'm going to call the Russell House, because I'm very familiar with that house, that house is set up to be a very good corporate house.
Yeah.
It is a really, really nice house. But my worry would be no loud noise the way it said. I would like to put a cap on the number of people there. And just because definitions are a little bit different. You have 4, that's not a party. You have 40,
Well, yeah.
but 40 at a corporate outing is not considered large either, depending
Oh.
on what kind of corporate you're doing. That's why I'm saying I just want to put
Home, not
I want to put a few guardrails.
corporate like party rental. Absolutely not.
No.
That's not
Well-
what we're looking to do at all.
So what number would you be comfortable with, that we would be comfortable with, this number of guests?
How many does that sleep?
Well, like I said, it's 4 large suites, but that would be, 2 guests per suite. So you could effectively, have maybe 10 to 12 if somebody wanted to, pop up an air mattress in the, there's like a movie room, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, they could probably get up to 12 in there, but definitely you can limit
So
it.
would you be
somewhere.
comfortable if we put a cap of 10?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Definitely not 40. It's-
No, well-
We don't want that. I mean, we've got, our horses and stuff, and we want to put a gate even beyond before they, like right after they split, there'll be another gate so that they can't get further into the farm, because we have our own, yeah.
And you're there, and then just, and I'm not real worried, but music outdoors.
Yeah, I mean,
After
we
9
won't be
o'clock.
near as loud as the wedding place that's right across
I was,
from us,
that's,
so.
that's
we'll
kind of
be
where I was
fine.
going with that, so.
No, there won't be any of that, please God. And if there is, obviously, we'd shut it down, so.
Okay.
It'll be a requirement in the contract when they rent.
How many
ahead.
houses are in that vicinity where you're talking?
So, there's those two that we're asking for the conditional use, and then the farm manager's residence, which my parents actually live in now, is there. And that's it. On the back 20, there's an employee residence.
Okay.
But off
I'm trying to look at this map and figure it
off
out,
the
but that's.
farm, it's a quarter mile to a half mile
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
Any residents that are not part of the farm.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I misunderstood the question. What was
Well-
your?
Throw the people on the farm out,
Oh, okay.
closest residence, you're still a quarter mile away, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, where you mentioned the single-use houses, those are the closest residents
To the
to us. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, just on the backside.
okay.
So just so I'm clear, the 10 is just for this Russell house, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
And then the 4, which I guess we're not talking about yet.
Now, that's why I was,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We'll
okay.
get to that one when we
Okay.
do it.
I'm
But
trying
so
to
it's,
I'm thinking of them in my head, okay.
And I don't know if they needed to be separate. I don't know why he filed them separately.
It actually works well, because one
Okay.
may go away someday and you keep the other. If you did them both, you might have to come in and amend the CUP, or if you wanted to change one versus the other down the road.
any other questions? Are you selling anything? Selling anything at Keeneland this November?
Did we? Oh, not yet. Tomorrow.
I-
Cross all the things.
I know your husband very well.
Yeah, of course.
Hearing no questions, thank you very much. We will entertain comments from the audience. Does anyone care to speak to this?
I would.
Okay.
My name's David Humphreys, and we own the properties adjacent to there, 3 properties on Old Frankfurt Pike, and we just came in support because we like seeing, more people in the horse industry. And a lot of places have they call it agritourism, where people come and experience that. So, to have people stay at a farm and experience what that's like and be part of it. And of course, if you just watch the Breeders' Cup over the weekend, you see just huge numbers of people that come from all over the world for these events. And they have a lot of kids and big families and stuff like that. So I think 10 might be a small number, just because if you have a couple of families with kids.
So if we say 10 adults,
Yeah, that would be fair. Because, I work at Keeneland too, and during racing, and you see in the winner's circle, they can't fit them all. And there are lots of kids and kids getting into this stuff. So I think it's good to keep the business going. It's my understanding the farm across the street to the south is changing ownership again, which has a few times. And, we hope to see these things stay horse farms, and I think the more people we can get in to experience that, better. So we're in support of it.
thank you.
Mr.
very much.
Humphreys, you did say you're a neighbor to the property? Thank you.
Yes, I own 754, 80, 84, and 790.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else care to speak to this issue? Seeing none, we will close this hearing and seek a motion to approve or deny this conditional use permit.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit for short-term rental establishments in the existing structure located at 1564 Paynes Depot Road with the applicant and boards agreed upon property conditions. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use does meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance and the adding of the cap with 10 people also.
Can we say adults?
Adults, 10 adults.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
The one I would like to add, if you would accept this, that no outdoor music after 9 o'clock.
No outdoor? Is that okay?
Yeah, amplified, sorry.
Amplified music. After 9 o'clock, is that all right? Okay.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion made, second. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, justification is that we had neighbor testimony about the importance of bringing more people into the horse industry. Furthermore, the number of guest rooms will not have an adverse effect on surrounding properties. Is that agreeable, Mr. Wakefield, Ms. Pryor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Motion has been made, seconded, approved by council. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Thank you very much. Next order of business, application 11-018-2025. Same as the last one. Steve?
Yep. So won't go through all that verbiage again. Again, they filed these as two applications. This is the northern house that you see as address through our 911 coordinator is 1554. And again, same map. The exhibit they turned in showed 1551, so I'm not exactly sure what address is being used out there on the actual mailbox, but the 911 shows it as 1554. The property owners turned this one as 1551, but again, it's the northern house that was just described by the applicant up here that shows in the northern part of the property. A little smaller house, and again, same conditions were put forward, and you guys are already kind of moving towards establishing a cap on guests or suites or either or both. Again, they put no parties, loud noise, and the farmhouse would be for VRBO. I don't have anything else to add unless y'all have any specific questions for me.
Any other questions?
No.
Do you want to speak again?
Well, just to let you know, like I said, there were 2 bedrooms, so, oh, sorry. So just 2 bedrooms, maybe max 6 people, if you wanted to put that in there. But yeah,
6 adults or 6 people?
no, 6 people.
Let's not complicate.
What about amplified music?
Yeah,
Same.
all the same.
Okay.
That's great, no problem.
All right. Anyone in the audience care to speak to this issue? Hearing none, we will close this hearing and seek a motion to approve or deny this conditional use permit.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit for a short-term rental establishment in an existing structure located at 1554 Paynes Depot Road, along with the applicants and boards agreed upon property conditions. The testimony presented in the public hearing has shown that the use does meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Okay. You want to add the same things we added to the last one?
Okay, we'll add the cap.
Testimony. Testimony carries.
Same justification, and then a 6-person max.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And no amplified music.
Music after 9. No.
Okay. So that's your motion.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion been made and second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, application number 11016-2025. Midway College, Inc. has filed for conditional use permit on a tract land containing 130-plus acres.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself. because of financial.
Mr. Chairman, ditto.
Ditto? All right, you are recused. We do have one more later, so you can't leave.
Watch me.
All right.
Steve, would you like to update the board, please?
Sir. So we had another application filed on October 13th. You heard the applicant is Midway University. The property owner, the technical owner is Midway College, Inc. And this is a shot of the campus up on the aerial. You all have seen prior CUPs on this property, one for baseball, one for their sprint football, and then you had an amended CUP recently for the parking area east of the baseball. Well, now we're back with, we knew there was another CUP amendment coming as they pursue a field house construction project that ties in with their football kind of soccer program there on the more southern side. This property is a little different than some of the others. The reason why the acreage is 130.053 and the prior cases were in the 90s, because it actually, the proposed building sits over that property line, which will have to be revised at some point in the future, and sits across two zoning lines and sits on both parcels. So just to make sure we covered everything, we advertised both the zoning districts. This is, let me jump ahead here, here's the zoning map. So it's R3 from the urban service boundary west and a little bit past the urban service boundary, then it transitions to A1 or agricultural. This shows the building that's going to kind of be on the property, and again it kind of jumps across that property line. So the CUP application is for a field house related to the school that's sitting in both zones, and I'll show you in a second, but both zones allow this type of CUP in the R3 and the ag zone. But again, we had to show both zones and use all the acreage because it sits kind of on both sides of the campus. The zoning ordinance is where it gets a little tricky on pages 2 and 3. So in the R3 zone, the CUP is kind of it's kind of hidden in our pyramid style zoning ordinance. When you look at page 2 and you look at conditional use permits in the R3, they say we allow the ones that are in R2. And then when you go down to the bottom of in R2, it says we allow the CUPs that are in R1A. And then when you go to R1A, you see schools for academic instruction. So again, in the R3, you've got some kinds of CUPs, short-term rentals, assisted living, offices, but then you've got all the things in R2, and then in R2 you got all the things in R1, and that's where you make kind of the jump to schools for academic instruction, and then related uses that go with those. So that's historically how we've done CUPs for schools in R3. In the ag zone, it's on the bottom of page 3, it's pretty straightforward. They're authorized as under the ag zone CUP. Yeah.
Hey, guys,
Dave,
just close the doors.
So I thought they said they recused themselves. So that's part of the zoning verbiage on page 2 and 3, how we get the CUP authorizations in these two different zones on the campus. When you get to page 4, it's interesting to note the definition for schools for academic instruction. There's a definition that talks about whether they be elementary, junior, middle, colleges, universities, etc. But they don't include business colleges or technical or trade schools. So it's just an interesting definition for schools for academic instruction. Obviously, this is a university, so it's eligible for the CUP. The applicant, again, the goal here is to build this field house. Here's a rendering of the field house that would sit adjacent to the sprint football facility, soccer facility, and the main campus, and kind of just be east of the new library project, actually, it's being built right now. On page 5, again, the conditions of approval. The applicant put a little bit of a narrative together for you at the bottom of page 5, and then had conditions that were used in the prior case and modified those to accommodate for the field house facility. So what it says basically on page 5 is all those prior conditions would stay in play, and these are the additional ones that would come into play specifically for the field house on page 6. There's really no staff items of concern related to this project. Again, this is the rendering that shows the projects. We don't want to pick on the university's architect here, but they kind of did a swap on us. If you look at all the other exhibits, as you know, the baseball field's to the north, the football field's to the south. But when they labeled this document, I almost spun it the other way, then I realized all the words would be upside down. So I wanted you all to be able to read the words. But technically, your south is up here to the top and north. So when you look at your orientation here, the field house there is technically to the west of the football field, but we're looking at it upside down, north-south, just because they spun the drawing on us for labeling purposes. Again, baseball is
Just to make sure I look at that right.
So let's go
Where
back.
is
Go back to this.
421?
So if you
Or
look
not,
at,
but,
so if you look at the baseball field, it's to the north.
that's what I wanted. Okay.
And if you look at the football field, it's to the south. And if you see kind of the 512 at the urban service boundaries, that field house is going right about that green line right there.
Yeah.
But when we got the exhibit, they just rotated it for illustration purposes. And but the field house is right there, the blue building that looks to like it's to the east of the football field. It's technically west.
Okay. Just one other question, Steve. There's another blue building down by the baseball field.
Yeah, that's the technically I call it the field. It's a batting cage adjacent to the baseball field.
So it is not part of this.
No. And again, I'll go backwards again. I'm going the wrong way. You can kind of, it's hard to see, but it's kind of, you can see a little bit of that facility.
Okay.
Go back to the arrow right there. You can kind of see it on that exhibit right there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's already there. So a lot of things happening on the campus there. Again, the library project's under construction. The parking lot now finished with the school year started, and now they want to get started on their field house project. Again, not a whole lot we have. It's pretty straightforward. The project would still, if it gets passed tonight as an amendment to the CUP, would still have to submit a site development plan to the Planning Commission. A plat's going to have to be submitted because the building is proposed to be right on the lot line. So that lot line will either have to be moved east, west, or those two lots consolidated. So those would all be due diligence that they'd have to do at the Planning Commission if this board approves the facility in general. I'll be glad to answer any questions, and Leah's here with the university. If you guys have any technical questions for her about timing or the facility size, those kind of things.
Okay. Any questions for Steve?
The site plan requirement for the planning commission, is that triggered by the nature of the project, or is that just because it was a prior condition?
It's a prior condition. The R3 zoning would require that. From a technical aspect, if you're in R3 and you build anything of any caliber, you have to go before the board. But this one's going to kind of straddle that line. If it was all in the ag zone, it would not technically be required unless it was an imposed condition. But it's going to have a portion of this in the R3, so it's probably going to need to go to the Planning Commission for a site development plan approval. Okay. Moving forward, we're going to work with the university and the city to maybe clean up some of the zoning. The urban service boundary kind of splits the campus in half. The zoning splits the campus in half. The university would like to kind of clean up all these lot lines and get these things moving forward, so as they expand into the future, everything would be in one zone or the other.
Thank you.
It's just the nature of where we're at today with the expansion.
Okay. Would the applicant care to speak to this?
Hi, I'm Leah Rice with Midway University, and I feel like I've been in front of you all many times now. This one is, when we originally built our existing field house that we have over by the tennis courts, we kind of jokingly said that we outgrew that the second that it was built. And so this would actually provide, given that we have the turf field now, locker rooms for our soccer team as well as football, because they currently do not have any kind of locker facilities anywhere near the turf field. For football, we are renting basically containers for them to be able to use as temporary locker rooms during the season. So this will provide an actual kind of home for both of those teams, as well as some coaches' offices and things like that. Go ahead and put the caveat, there's no external sound on this. So we can go ahead and put that on there. If you have technical questions, I do have representatives here from the architecture firm as well as the contractor who will be working on the building so that they can answer anything on that.
How tall is the building? I know
Yeah. It's going to be a one-story, but it will be kind of barn-shaped with the A-frame on it.
Is it visible from what I call Midway Road?
No, it's going to be covered by trees behind it. I was saying, I don't believe it's going to be visible from there.
Weisenberger, yeah. It's-
Yeah, so that's the shot I took right here when I went out there. And again, the stadium's behind there. It's tough to see as you kind of move over a little bit. This was a shot we used at the last meeting, and you can kind of see the other field house up there. This one's going to be just west of that, kind of behind that grove of trees, and the library building's going to be back there too. But this is a current shot just from a couple weeks ago.
Lighting, what kind of lighting are you going to?
It will just have external lighting for sidewalk purposes, for just making sure that people can get around safely on that. There's no projecting lights on that.
So there are no issues with having downward lighting?
No.
Which is
Make sure I'm not speaking out of turn. We should.
That's typically what it does, just to be, you know. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? Thank you very much. Would anyone in the audience care to address this issue? Nobody? All right. We will close this hearing and seek a motion to approve or deny this conditional use permit.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve the amended conditional use permit for an athletic field house located at 512 East Stevens Street and 176 Weisenberger Mill Road, along with the applicants and board's agreed upon property conditions. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use does meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Ms. Pryor, I wonder if you'd like to add the justification that this is an infill expansion that provides permanent facilities for teams that currently use temporary facilities.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the downward lighting.
And downward lighting for walking at night.
Is there a second to such motion?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Can you read what you? I'll get them.
We heard you.
Hey, Minnie.
That's hilarious. We heard you.
They're still out there, Jeff.
All right, they'll be in here in a minute. Next application is 11-014-2025. Terry Giroux and Christopher Baker have filed a conditional use permit on a tract of land containing 0.229 acres. Steve, if they would quit their talking, we'll get ready to go.
They gonna have.
We only see each other once a month. We had to catch up.
We opened the hearing. Thought I did. I read it. Yeah.
All ready? All righty. All right, so we got an application filed on October 7th, 2025. You heard the property location is 202 Greyhawk Court. This is a shot of the property on the aerial there. You see the property at the end of a cul-de-sac. Its size is just short of a quarter acre, 0.229 acres. It's zoned single family or R1B. This is a picture of the house that I took the day we put the sign out. Again, property is situated on the cul-de-sac. This is the zoning map that shows the zone single family and just shows there's about 4 homes at the end of the cul-de-sac. Sometimes there's 5. This one has 4 that kind of go around the cul-de-sac. It's a short street length there. I kind of put an extra zoning map in here to show you that the general area out here along Hunter's Ridge, Tensioner, etc., Pintail, all zoned single family. And then again, this is a fairly short little cul-de-sac street with just a handful of homes on it. And the CUP request is there at 202 Greyhawk. What the applicants are requesting at this location is what's basically known as a home occupation. So it's a general term that we have in the zoning ordinance. We'll go over that in just a second. A home occupation in a single-family zone does require a conditional use permit. The technical words that the applicant put in their application were gunsmithing and firearm repair. as a general home occupation that they would like to have conducted at this property in an existing single-family home. If you turn to page 2 of the staff report, we get into the zoning ordinance verbiage. We're in the R1B section, the low-density single-family, and the CUPs are outlined on page 2, and you see just the general term home occupation. What happens when people call us and say, hey, can I do a home occupation, or can I do something in my house? We basically then go to chapter 2, which is on page 3 of your staff report under our defined terms, and there's a definition of home occupation. It's interesting to note, I had some neighbors call me. There's been some calls about this proposal, and maybe even debate with me a little bit about whether or not this specific type of home occupation is authorized or even allowed. And I just want to point out that in our definition it says a gainful occupation or profession carried on in a residence such as, and then those terms that come after that are kind of just a small list of the such as's. As you all know, I think there's been home occupations in years past where maybe someone cuts hair, or they do catering, or they do woodworking, and not all those technical terms are listed there. There's terms like artist, sculptor, dressmaking, tailoring. Obviously some terms maybe time has gone past: upholstery, handicrafts, tutoring, individual music lessons, and then professional services with no definition of how broad that could be. So the applicant filed for a home occupation CUP, and the technical activity that they're proposing to carry out is gunsmithing/firearm repair is the request. And again, it says such as, so that's the fit. But what isn't really debatable is the bullets that come below that definition. Those bullets that are in our zoning ordinance in the definition are the line items or the guardrails that this board has to assure that these uses fall under home occupation. For example, it can only be a percentage of the house. It has to be carried on by people that reside on the property. So these type of bullets have to be in play with whatever kind of home occupation someone brings forward, whether it be catering or hair salon or gunsmithing. These things have to make sure they're in place, and I don't think the board has the ability to deviate from those. Those are kind of the standards of what define a home occupation. So for example, right now, bullet number 2 says the use is conducted entirely within a dwelling and not an accessory building. This is one house, one dwelling, but if this had a detached garage, you couldn't do it in the garage, it'd have to be in the house. Those are the type of way these bullets work. And what the applicant is proposing, that the facility would be in this structure right here in the house. Before I go into the conditions here, just show you some other pictures. The applicant submitted these photos of the house, of the cul-de-sac, and a shot down the cul-de-sac, which I thought was a good picture. Again, it's not a very long street, but it's connected to a very large neighborhood. This is technically where the operation would occur. It's a small room in the house. So again, we got some calls about this facility. What is gun repair? How big would it be? What's the scale? This just, I think, will help the board, from the applicant's perspective, show you what's going to happen here. This is basically a mini office, a desk, a pegboard, a safe, and that's where this operation would occur. So it's not in the basement, it's not in the garage, it's not carried out through the whole house. It's in a fairly small space in the residence, and I'm not exactly sure if that's in the second floor or above the garage, but this is where the operation, the home occupation, would be conducted. So we'll let the applicant kind of move forward from that point on how they see this business endeavor functioning on the property. Get to page 4, same thing. We've heard on 4 prior cases, conditions of approval. This board has authority to impose conditions or suggest wordsmithing of conditions you all see fit to preserve and protect the character of the district of the proposed use. The applicant did submit a fairly decent narrative there to give you all a general understanding of how they would conduct this home occupation. And then there's 6 specific conditions that they outlined, one with 3 bullets. So in theory, there's really 8 conditions there on hours, customers, noise, deliveries, security measures. Really no staff items of concern. If this was approved, the applicant would need a business license to operate the facility prior to commencing that. And then the findings are outlined on page 6. The review criteria on page 6, I'm sorry, and the findings on page 7. And then the motion up or down on page 8. I'll be glad to answer any questions. But again, we did get a few phone calls on this. A lot of discussion about what the operation is, the scale of it, intensity of it, what those terms mean. Gun repair, is it this or is it this? You know, what's the kind of activities that would occur in this endeavor? So I'll just leave it at that, and probably best the applicant maybe start with their narrative and explain to you all how they see the scale and scope of this out unfolding on this property.
Thank you, Steve. Does anyone have any questions for Steve? Would the applicant care to speak to this?
My name is Chris Baker. I'm the one with the application. Right now I have a full-time job, roughly 40 to 45 hours a week. So right now the operation plan is to be fairly small. I expect to have between 1 and 3 orders every week. At the very maximum, 1 a day, which would be, you know, I don't plan to have a very large operation. It would take 5 to 10 years roughly to get this off the ground to become a full-time business, which I don't plan to run out of my home if it becomes that large. It is on the second story of the house. If you see that window on the right with the cross in it, that is the room where that is taking place.
Wait a minute. On the house part, not the garage.
No, on the garage part, where that cross is in the window.
I can't see the garage.
Oh, I apologize. It's the window over the garage.
The window over the garage. That's all I wanted to know. Okay.
I can turn to any slide that you guys
No,
see.
you're fine.
Okay.
No, this is fine. So it's that room above the garage.
Do you know how many square feet that is?
You said 350 on.
Is it 350?
350?
Roughly 350, 400.
Yeah,
Okay.
something of that nature.
And then as for firearms repair itself, I'm not expecting to have to do any major work with huge power tools or anything. It's not like I'm building or welding or doing anything of that nature. It's smaller repairs right now. I've talked to some people who would like to have this done or who would like me to work on their firearms if this gets approved. It's very small projects. I've got somebody with a broken pistol grip that needs to be replaced, and that's just a screw in a panel. Smaller work like that is kind of my main priority to at least get myself started and get people acquainted with me and what I do.
All right. Are there any questions?
Do you eventually want to weld like you were talking about moving to that?
Eventually, yes. That's in the very, very far future.
Okay.
I have no plans for that right now. I don't know how to weld, so I have no plans for that at the moment. If I ever decided to get around to that, I would go to school for that first, and then I'd hope by then, by the time I got big enough to do all of that, would be to have an individual business location.
Are you planning on having, are you doing all the work yourself?
Yes,
or
sir.
No employees?
No. No, I'm not.
Okay. I have a question, but I think you need to ask the council here. Bullet point number 1. The use is clearly incidental, secondary to the dwelling, occupies no more than 25% or 300 square feet of total floor area of the dwelling, whichever is less. So how does 350 fit in there?
I think we have to abide by the terms of the ordinance, and so there might need to be some confirmation that it's only occupying 300 square feet of space.
Because you stated 350, which I think was in here too, which is why I asked.
Can I clarify?
Not yet.
Okay.
You'll get a chance to come up when we're finished. That was my concern, if that exceeded that.
Right.
That area. And that is kind of based on what you said and what's in here. So that's what I'm a little worried. Is your comment related to this?
Yes.
Okay, come on up and just state your name. So I want to be sure we...
Susan Stivers. So when I gave him the square footage, I included the home office area that would not be used for the repair portion of it.
Is the office for his stuff or for something else?
It's for mine, but I mean, his computer's sitting there as well, so it's kind of joint.
Okay.
But I also kind of guesstimated.
So a home office is an accessory use, and I didn't include that definition because that wasn't the request.
Okay.
It has a similar cap for a home office, so anyone can have a home office in their home.
Right.
It's just basically paper.
Yeah, the work area is probably, I'm gonna go 12 by 14.
I'm gonna put this exhibit up and you maybe can explain.
Yeah, so this is the home office area. And that is probably.
Is that above the garage?
It is.
So it's all one room?
It is a L-shaped room, yes. And then that area right there is 10 by 12, 14.
And
that his desk, that is with the white desk right there is where he's going to be doing the work.
It's always easier for us if it's one room, you know, when we have these standards, 25% or if someone has a home office, it's usually they're using one spare bedroom.
Do you know the square footage of the entire house?
Right at 2,000. I mean, it may be like 1997 or 2011.
Yeah,
It's right at 2,000, yes.
Yeah, over 2,000.
Which would give you 500 if you use the 25.
But it's 500 or 300, whatever's less, yeah.
But
So it's
that's where I'm
300,
going.
Yeah. So to her point is not all this space is really the gun repair area. Some is her office and some is, but if it's all up in this one room, then it appears it.
I mean, the office is there regardless. So even if we don't get approved for this, the office stays because I use it and he uses it for other things as well. But
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. If you take the office, and this is Steve, if we eliminate the office, and it's just not part of this, I think that puts you under your 300,
okay.
which would justify this. Over that, we don't have the option to do that. That is codified in here, so we don't. That's a hard number. So there has to be some type of verification that it's less than that. Now, without that office, it may fit in there. If that's the office compared to the other one, the other room, are they equal size?
No.
Which is bigger?
The office area is going to be bigger. They're both anywhere from 10 to 12, 10 to 14. So it may be comparable in size.
But there's no wall separating the two?
There is not. No, it is just a big L-shaped room.
And you buy dividers and divide them?
I can.
I don't know if that's.
I'm not sure how that.
I don't know how that
I'll go back
works.
to you all, if you guys were to put conditions or these type of standards, I'm not sure how we would enforce that going forward. This is an internal one of building. If you all were to set a condition that the maximum square footage they can use for the gun repair business is 300, or let's say you say it's 280, even that's going to be a challenge for us to distinguish. If it was designated one room, then we'd know it's one room, but this is just tricky with both kind of the office and the occupation are together. They're both bound by that standard, and we typically aren't inside houses.
So I tell you what, we'll come back to this. I want to hear everybody's people, others that came in here.
I still have questions for Mr. Baker. If that,
yes.
Mr. Baker, will you be selling any goods that you have purchased? Are you going to be a vendor of any sort?
No.
Okay. Getting back to Ms. Pryor's question, she asked you about whether welding was part of the future growth of this business. And I think you had said earlier that you were not going to be doing welding, at least at first. I think she was asking if maybe you would make that a condition. My question is, what kind of assurances can you give about no noise that's going to be audible from the outside?
Like when you say...
Will there be noise from the processes?
No.
Okay.
No, The largest tool I own is a power drill, or not a power drill, a drill press that sits in my garage. But it doesn't, I mean, that's just my largest tool in general, that's being moved up there. But it's not very loud. It can't really be heard from outside from the garage, from when I was using it for school. And so it's definitely not going to be heard from in the house.
Okay, I see where you've said no discharge or test firing on site, so then it's whatever minimal noise you're talking about from these tools. Okay.
Can I follow up on that? Because there were several neighbors that called and asked this they got a copy of your all's application. And your number 4 is pretty clear on the first half of the sentence says no firearm discharge or test firearm occur on site. But then the second sentence says mechanical testing shall be conducted indoors. So there was some confusion whether that indoors meant in the house, and if the mechanical testing, what you're saying is the mechanical testing is never a firearm discharge or test.
No.
It's a different kind of, and there was some confusion on what the two different things were.
Yes, so mechanical testing would be ensuring like a bolt action, if you're pulling a bolt back, putting it forward. But I'm not going to be firing any rounds within my home.
Those would be off-site.
Yes, I'm a member of the Anderson County Sportsman's Club. It is a large outdoor space. I have no intention of firing any firearm I suspect to have any major malfunction issues. Test firing is sort of in the profession to be saved for when you're like certain that it's functioning, to take it out as a final test, and that will be conducted out there.
Last thing for you, Mr. Baker, from me. You mentioned the minimal impact on the outside appearance of the property. You mentioned discrete signage. Steve can correct me if I'm wrong, but no signage is permitted for this business. So I just want that to be understood.
Then there will be no signage.
Thank you.
Gunsmithing, do you have skills in mechanical engineering or
I have
metalworking?
I have an associate's degree in it's considered firearms technology, but it is a gunsmithing and firearms repair degree from the Sonoran Desert Institute.
I have a question. Is there any chance you'd be doing any bore sighting at all with any lasers or anything like that?
I don't tend to bore sight. If somebody gives me their gun to sight in, I will take it out to the range and sight it out there. But I don't like bore sighting. Okay,
thank you.
What about safety hazards, chemicals? Are you going to be using any chemicals?
The worst chemicals that I'd be using would be if I get any work for a stock or anything, linseed oil and sealants of that nature, but a gun cleaner and nothing you can't buy at Home Depot or a gun store.
Loud noises or anything like that?
No, sir.
How many firearms do you think you'll have on site at any given time?
Like I said, I expect this to be rather slow. I shouldn't have any more than 3 firearms on site at a time. That safe is rated for far more than 3. So I don't expect to have any more than 3 to 5 firearms at a time, and 5 would be pushing it.
And will there be stocks of ammunition stored there?
It would be stored within the gun safe. I plan to buy ammunition for the key purpose of using it for live firing tests if I have to, which will be kept in the gun safe securely and separately from the firearms.
What about a possibility of fires?
There shouldn't be.
The gun safes are rated for fire?
The gun safes are rated for fire.
Any more questions? That's good for right now. We'll let anybody else hear what they say, then we'll come back to this. Would anyone else care to address this issue? State your name.
My name is Andrew Collins. if you actually look at the photo, I'm on the right-hand side. I'm basing this off of strictly what's on the paperwork, whether it is on the paperwork or not. And one of the questions I sort of had is what alternatives that were used before the decision to use residential housing. You know, there's access to like grant money, crowdsourcing, you know, GoFundMe even. What steps were taken before the decision to do the residential home beforehand? Also, I was wondering what modifications had been done to that room, because even though I know there's no discharge, unfortunately some people are forgetful. I'm probably right by that definition. Some people forget all the time that it's loaded, that they accidentally load it before they give it to you. I haven't heard anything that says that no one will be there or no one was allowed to be there. Of course, even if they aren't, they have access to the address. And so if they present the firearm to give because it's not working correctly, it accidentally misfires in the process before it can be checked. What measures have been taken in the dwelling to prevent that misfire from leaving the residence? Because my kid's room is right on that side. And so if something were to happen, they are probably the most likely to be affected out of anyone in the area, unfortunately, which is something we have to consider in this process. Unfortunately, we live in a world where crime does happen. A lot of residential gunsmiths are targeted because even if it's not true, people assume they don't have as well security because they're not a commercial business, which unfortunately would make it turn out that they could have incidences, unfortunately, like we stated earlier, where they're not allowed to have signage to identify themselves as the place. The possibility is present that other houses could be mistaken in that process as the gunsmith. So I didn't know what measures could possibly be taken to make that a preventative measure, if any, is possible. And unfortunately, although not as serious, even though criminals also do this, there is the day-to-day issue of people coming up to other houses, not just mine, assuming, you know, we're the gunsmith, dropping stuff off, whether it be hazardous or not. And so those are some other issues. I was also wondering with the drill, if that had to be, when I hear, you know, the drill machine, I assume that's one of larger size that would have to be installed somewhere, and not like a handheld, I would assume. So I didn't know how, I was wondering how that would work as far as in the dwelling went. Obviously I know it's in the garage now, so I didn't know. I was also wanting to ask, I think you might have asked a bit of it, of how many years gunsmithing experience there was in the process. Other than that, that's all I really got for right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this?
Hi, I'm Kim Collins. I live at 204 directly next to. I'm wife of Andrew. I also have several concerns. We have 3 young children. This is a gun business going in next door. There's a lot of concerns around safety, the parking and the new traffic coming in. So to start with, 202 currently has parking for roughly 4 small cars. The residents at 202 own 3 vehicles. One is a truck. And so any parking that they would need to do would be street parking, and there is no street parking for 202, which means they would need to park in front of either our house or another neighbor's house down the road. That street parking has in the past caused accidents because visitors will come, park on the street, and residents can't get out of their homes or they back into them. And we had that happen last week. Someone backed into a visitor in a street parking zone. We are also a neighborhood where we have people that have, unfortunately, medical issues, my son being one of them. And so if an emergency vehicle has to get through here and there's a lot of street parking, they can't. It's a narrow street. If there's a lot of street parking, it causes issues. So I have a concern with more cars being in the area. Also with the traffic, my children play outside, other children play outside directly on the corner coming into this road. And so if you don't know they're there, it gets really scary really fast. I also have a concern about the chemicals used in gunsmithing. There's a wide array of chemicals that can be used. And I understand that he's saying he's not going to be using a lot of them, but based on this ordinance, it's whatever in the gunsmithing realm he wants to do in the future, he can sort of do, unless we put in restrictions. So some of those chemicals are EPA regulated, like brewing, some are just everyday degreasers, and some might be subject to the MAQs under current fire codes. And so I would just like to ask, what specific chemicals would we be expecting to use? How is he storing them, cleaning them, making sure there's proper ventilation? I also have, 2 of my kids have asthma, so any chemical pollution that comes out of this house could affect us directly. We also have a guy in the neighborhood that has 1 lung that would be 2 houses down from them. So any chemical pollution could really harm some of the vulnerable populations around them. And then lastly, just our home values are going to go down from this. Gun stores, typically you see a 3.7% decrease in home values around such a shooting range. While I understand this is not going to be a noise complaint, according to what they're telling us, there's still the chemical and just the stigma around guns. This is a neighborhood a mile from an elementary school. People are moving here with families. A lot of people don't want to move next to a gun business. So, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this? Let's go back to the square footage. And I'm not sure how. I think the best way we need to proceed, and this is up to the board, not me, I'm just speaking as a member, is to get verification on the square footage, exactly what it is, so we can look at that. Currently, the 350 that you have stated puts you outside. I mean, we don't have a choice for that. So what I think for us even to continue, I need verification that that room, the portion that you will be using to do your stuff, meets the criteria that is set out within the zoning, within our ordinance, which in this case is the 300 square feet. I think to address some of the other issues, if you can bring a list of the chemicals with their SDSs, which are all, that would be with everyone that you're planning on using, and how you plan and where you plan to store them, so we can look at that. I'm going to address the one when it comes to parking. We're out. We have absolutely, it's public parking. We are not in control. I mean, we can't, it's not within our control or preview to do. And I understand the concerns. One of the things we will probably be asking, if this goes through and we put this off for a month to get verification, is to ask that customers only use your driveway. You know, you make room for them if you're only going to do 1 or 2 small, that they be in your driveway with that. And we're going to go through some other ones when we get back to it. But I would like to, if it's okay with council, to entertain a motion to postpone this, I'm using the right word, until next month, where you will bring us verification of the square footage of the area, the chemical list, with SDS's and storage requirements, where they're gonna do, and I'll tell you, they need to be locked up, or whatever. If someone would like to make that motion or make one of your own.
I want to ask one more thing. She had a concern about a discharge in the house, and is there anything within the structure that would stop an accidental discharge from going?
Can I just say,
Wait.
I can have an accidental discharge.
Hang on. Because we're not, yeah, I know, we're not gonna all talk way in time. I agree.
I mean, it was one of the concerns they brought
Right.
up. I'm just.
But, and I'm not taking sides with this, and I'll just answer you. I have friends that have 10 times as many guns that he'll ever have in that house. And they clean them, they work on them every day.
But this isn't about me. I grew up with a federal agent for a dad. I don't have a problem with guns.
Yeah,
I'm addressing what they said, not me.
okay. But I'm saying, I can't enforce putting armored steel in somebody's big house. I mean, those are concerns we all have. You may have it in the other neighbor, just don't know they're there. I think there are precautions you can put on when a gun is brought to the house, that prior to entering that house, it is examined, it is unloaded. Before you go in, we can put those on. Common sense is kind of hard sometimes to, yeah.
Mr. Chair, would you agree, though, that if Mr. Baker wanted to bring back ideas about how to respond to that concern, we would welcome that?
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Can I ask one thing, see if you'd be open to your square footage certification? Them coming back with just a number would be great, but I don't know if there are construction plans for the house, or the house was built several years ago. If you don't have actual room construction plans, I don't know if they'd be open to allowing the building inspector to
do it?
your property and get measurements so we could calculate that square. Or if you could do it, like if you came back and said it was 14 by 22.
I can provide pictures.
Well, but we
need measurements.
Well, I was gonna say, I can do it with the tape measure or pictures, but does planning and zoning not have like our structure?
Well, that's what I was getting back to. I can't tell you for sure we have your building plans and have your room plans. It's your property. We may have something that's older, but I don't know the year that house was built, if we'd have the building. But if we didn't, the building inspector works for us, but he would not come to your house unless you all were okay with it.
Absolutely.
And you guys could show him the room, and he could verify as one of our staff members.
That would be the best.
If you guys are okay with it, then it'd be us coming back saying, well, we went and measured it, and it's 18 by 22 and a half, you know. I don't know how we'd certify it if you just brought back a number for us and said it's 300 and.
I agree.
Exactly. And then we could measure the office at the same time.
Okay.
And we could kind of have them in almost a layout if we can't find plans.
Okay.
If you guys are okay with that, we would coordinate that with you.
Absolutely.
If you guys are okay with that.
But did you not say you would use the office as part of your business?
If it's not within the planning and zoning, I won't use it. So
he's going to be limited to the 300, and he may have to stay at the other desk, and that'd be his office, and the other one would be her office. The other part would be the footprint in the garage would count too. If you're using a drill press in the garage, we got to.
Well, I'm not using the drill, but I was saying I am bringing that upstairs. That is going into the.
Yeah, we just need you to show us exactly where the facility would be. Let us get some measurements so we can bring back them an actual number, a square foot, to assure you're at the 300 or less.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you guys are okay, we could do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
One question I've got, would it be appropriate that we could request the specifics of what you're going to be doing in your gunsmithing operation? In other words, how deep you're going to dwell into doing things?
Of course, yeah.
Yes, I can provide that.
Okay. All right, we will seek a motion.
I do have just.
Okay, one more, come on, back up.
Okay, sorry. Now, we do have signatures of everybody who was supportive, including over half of our neighbors, including the guy with one lung. So do you want them now, or do we save them for next time?
For the record, she can.
You can turn in them now, and that way they will be part of the record.
Okay.
But we are not closing the hearing.
Yes.
The hearing will still be open, so that there will still be public comment. You'll bring back the information. Anybody that wants to come and speak, we'll still have that opportunity
Okay.
versus closing it and making the decision.
No,
later.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you wanted these
Yeah.
now or.
And turn them in now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Now we will seek a motion.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we defer this application, delay,
Till next week.
until the
Next
next
month.
meeting. Actually, in order to verify the square footage of the space and.
Other requirements we've
and other
asked for.
requirements that we.
Is that good enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made, and there's been a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll seek one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you again for taking the call.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.